When most people imagine off-roading, they picture rugged trucks, jeeps, or SUVs specifically built with lifted suspensions, aggressive tires, skid plates, and reinforced chassis designed to take on mud, rocks, sand dunes, and uncharted terrain. But what if we take a completely different approach and throw a luxury car into the mix? A machine designed not for dirt and gravel but for silky smooth highways, polished streets, and glamorous city drives, and challenge it against the unpredictable brutality of the off-road world, asking the ultimate question. Can a luxury car survive off-roading? Because at first glance it seems absolutely insane to even attempt it, since luxury cars are engineered for comfort, refinement, and aesthetics rather than the raw durability demanded by off-road adventures. Yet the curiosity lingers and the thrill of experimentation beckons. So we set out on this wild journey to test the limits of a vehicle that was never meant to crawl over boulders or wade through rivers, beginning with a selection of the car itself, perhaps a Rolls-Royce Cullinan that already dabbles in SUV territory but still screams luxury more than ruggedness, or maybe even something more unconventional like a Bentley Continental GT or a Mercedes S-Class sedan, vehicles dripping in leather, wood trim, and technology but hardly the first thought when it comes to muddy trails. And once the decision is made, the real fun begins, because the first challenge comes immediately. With the tires, since luxury cars are almost always fitted with low-profile performance tires designed for grip on asphalt, not for biting into loose dirt, which means that before even tackling the first obstacle there's a high probability of losing traction, spinning wheels, or getting stuck in the soft ground. But in the name of this grand experiment we press forward, easing the car down a dusty track, listening to the suspension groan in protest as pebbles and rocks clatter against the underbody panels, a sound no luxury car owner ever wants to hear, and yet there is something exhilarating about watching a pristine machine worth hundreds of thousands of dollars venture into an environment completely alien to it, and surprisingly, at least in the early stages, it manages, the engine power helping it to push through shallow mud, the traction control systems working overtime to maintain grip, the air suspension, if equipped, raising the ground clearance just enough to avoid disaster. But the deeper into the trail we go, the more the flaws begin to show, because luxury cars have sensitive electronics, low front bumpers, side skirts, and intricate exhaust systems that hang precariously close to rocks, so every dip or climb feels like a potential catastrophe. Yet despite the odds, the car continues forward, and the passengers inside are still cocooned in leather seats, massaged by built-in systems, and enjoying air conditioning and a high-end sound system even while the vehicle outside is coated in dirt, which makes for a surreal contrast between luxury and chaos. But off-roading is not just about getting dirty, it's about conquering obstacles, and soon the real test appears. A steep incline of loose gravel where four-wheel drive trucks normally crawl with ease, and here the luxury car must prove its worth, so we carefully align, apply throttle, and let the engine roar. And against expectations, the sheer horsepower helps it climb halfway, but the lack of proper off-road gearing and tires becomes evident as wheels spin wildly, gravel sprays everywhere, and momentum stalls, forcing us to back down and rethink strategy. And in this moment, the reality of off-roading a luxury car sets in, because while it can handle light trails and dirt roads with some adjustments, once the terrain gets truly demanding, the limitations are clear. Still, the experiment isn't over. So we try crossing a shallow stream, inching the car forward into the water while every sensor and electronic system complains, warnings flashing across the dashboard, yet somehow it pushes through, water splashing against chrome accents and grills more used to city streets than riverbeds. And when it emerges on the other side, coated in mud, dripping wet, and scarred with scratches underneath, it feels like a small victory, proof that while luxury cars are not designed for this environment, they are not as fragile as many assume, especially with the sheer strength of their engines and the adaptability of modern technology. But long-term durability is a different story, because every scrape, every impact, and every particle of mud entering delicate components adds up to a massive repair bill that no sane owner would want to pay. So in conclusion, the answer to whether a luxury car can survive off-roading is both yes and no. Yes, in the sense that it can physically make it through trails, mud, and light obstacles if driven carefully and strategically, but no in the sense that it is completely impractical, risky, and costly to attempt, since the design philosophy of luxury cars prioritizes comfort, refinement, and aesthetics over rugged survival, making them ill-suited for long-term off-road use. And yet, as this adventure shows, there is something undeniably entertaining, eye-opening, and even inspiring about pushing a luxury car into a world it was never intended to face, proving that boundaries exist to be tested, and while you may never want to try this with your own prized vehicle, the sheer thrill of watching it unfold is worth every gasp, every cringe, and every splash of mud on paint that once sparkled under showroom lights. Because at the end of the day, the question was never just whether a luxury car could survive off-roading, but whether we dared to imagine it in the first place, and having witnessed it firsthand, the answer is unforgettable.